How are you? How was your morning?
Good. I got up early. I wanted to go out for a run. I've been doing that 434 miles. It ends on Monday, so the 30th. And like I'm just killing myself trying to get all the mileage and I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? But it's just like it's the principle. I signed up for it and I was like I wanted to do it and I remember the last time I did it I had so much fun, but like it must have been I don't know, I must have done it during COVID. I must have had a lot of time because I
Yeah.
ran all 434 miles in between August and June. That's like more mileage than I usually do if I'm not training for a half marathon. So, and I know that if it was COVID, I wouldn't have been training for a half marathon. So, I don't know. I don't,
How much
I just,
yeah, how much more do you have?
well, the last time that I put, because you have to go, it's like a little spreadsheet. It's very old school. You go on a website and then you input what you've done. And the last time I checked was maybe like I had 10 days left. And I had about 10 miles a day that I needed to cover it when
Oh.
I finished. So so anybody who's, like, using Crew Lab right now has seen, like, every day I do, like, 20K on the bike or 30K on the bike. Because 'cause I'm just, like, I'm trying to finish it, but I like running, and I know that I'm not gonna run that far, like, my mileage really isn't up that much right now, so I just wanted to go out and run 2 miles, but it was so sticky today. Holy smokes, like, the air was thick, and I woke up and my throat was just kinda, like, dried out, like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kinda weird with all this extra heat, and
Yeah.
the puppy got sick last night, like,
Aw.
she's like well, not last night, this yesterday afternoon, and we kinda think it might have been because she went out in the heat, like, she's a pug, and she's, like, a purebred, so her nose is really small, like, they had to, like, try to expand her nose when she was a baby pup, and, like, she, like, puked, like, 2 times, and it wasn't like she picked up something like she ate something bad, it looked like just like her food. I was like, what's going on?" But she does get overheated, and, Timmy
Mhm.
took her for, just, like, a walk around the block, so maybe that was too much for her, so we're gonna try to keep her in today and see if she feels any better.
Yeah.
But, yeah, yeah, the heat is something else. I mean, we're just not
Yeah.
used to it. Like
Well, yeah, I mean, considering I think I was when we talked to Matt on Sunday, it was a little warm in this room. It wasn't super hot, but it was like starting to get warmer. It was like the first podcast that I remember not wearing a sweatshirt. I feel like, we went from this rainy, gloomy, cool spring all of and just like dove right into like super hot summer.
yeah, yeah, like, today, I was supposed to take Mikey to the Seabreeze trip for his school, which is, like, a small amusement park, and they canceled it, like, last week because of the heat index today, and yeah, so and usually on Tuesdays, I take one of my clients out on the river, and we do, like, technique work, which is really nice because he gets, like, practice with his team, and then when we work together, he gets to just do, like, whatever drills he wants to do. I balance the boat out for him. He learned to row maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and he has his own single now, so but he's still at the point where he's kinda tentative with doing, like, push-pull in the single by himself or doing, like, top quarter or chop drills at the catch, like, all that type of stuff that, like, would make him feel very, very nervous. He practices that in the double with me, and then when he goes to practice, he's either in the quad or in his single, but we wouldn't have been able to go out today. I mean, it's so hot out there, like, it's just crazy. It's like an oven. It's really I mean, like, definitely feels like Florida, like, when you go to Florida and, like, you walk
Mhm.
outside and it's just like you're in, like, the breeze of an oven.
Yeah, I know. Can you imagine? I mean, we always complain about the weather and like the conditions up in the Northeast during the wintertime, but like they're probably just used to this and
Yeah.
row like this all
Oh,
the time.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I was talking to someone, he was moving to, I think it was South Carolina,
Mhm.
and he was talking about how in August they shut the boathouse down. But
Oh.
like there's like time during August that it's just like too humid, like We, soon people would have already heard our talk with Matt, but we don't think about heat safety. Like what's not
Right.
like that's not, we're always thinking cold water, wind, cold air
White
temperatures or
cats.
what we're white
Hmm.
caps. That's what we're worried about. But the heat index and that type of thing. And even when he was talking about masters having like cardiac issues in the
Yeah.
boat, like I would, we just we don't work hard enough in the cooler temperatures to really get to that, but I could imagine, like, if it was warm enough and, you were just learning and you had that type of stress on your body, like, that could be definitely be an issue. So, it's just really interesting to kind of flip it around now and think about
Hmm.
high heat and all that.
Hmm.
Wow, yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
crazy. It's crazy.
Hmm.
I don't know if I have it over here. I had, do you see rowing news? Do you get rowing news?
No, I didn't
Shows
know
up
they
at our
still
boat.
have that.
Yeah, it shows up at our boathouse for some of the coaches, and so sorry, other coaches, I kind of steal them because nobody, but
Oh,
they're in a pile. But
yeah.
this had an issue. Like I thought we'd talk about this today.
Yeah.
It says 10 ways to save rowing, and so it's like a list of things that that we should do in order to keep people in rowing or save rowing. And I thought it was kind of interesting the things that they chose to put on this list.
Yeah, I
Like,
can't wait to hear it.
so it says 10 ways to save rowing. It says rowing is thriving at the moment, but because of the baby bust, 15 years from now, the number of rowing age high school and college students will drop by nearly 500,000. And that's
Wow.
like that's what we were talking with Matt about. Like that
Yeah.
that there's so many, like there won't be as many high schoolers to kind of come out. And so I'll go through all 10 and then maybe we'll kind of riff on them a little bit. But number one, it was like let everyone else see the secret. Like these are 10 ways to, like, I guess, to help the sport. So it says let everyone else in on the secret of our great sport. And then, it talks about, the different boat races and or the boat race and getting people more interested in those events that are happening during the year. The Oarsman Award, we can do the same in the US so we can soon get over our self-perpetuated special secret status within the world of sports and begin shaving the sharp corners off the square peg that we're fitting in the round hole of athleticism. So I guess talking about the Oarsman Award and then inviting others to our regattas.
Mhm.
It said row up music. So like having like
Mhm.
loudspeakers
I like that one.
and having like the votes come up to a song.
Yeah.
It said letting crews pick the lanes. So like winning
Mm.
crews can pick where they want to be. It said
I don't
replace.
know why that's gonna save rowing, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I guess it's just to kind of make it a little bit more like involved.
Engaged,
Yeah, engaged, I
interactive.
guess.
Okay.
Another one was replace bow numbers with crew logos. So instead of numbers, the clip should hold place cards with the crew school or club logo and colors. I think that that's kind of different. But we kind of need the bow numbers. Right. Am I the traditionalist in me coming up being like, we need our bow numbers so we know who's winning, like especially in a head race, right? Like you wanna be able to see, but maybe
It's
I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hard enough to see a black solid number from a distance. Like a logo, would that be any easier? Depending on the logo, I'm thinking maybe not, but
Yeah.
different colors help. I know it's hard to spot even certain colors from a distance, like especially if you've got a combo of colors. Sometimes it blends together and makes it look like a completely different color.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah, like I think like some of the oars when they're striped, like
mm,
far away, the two colors blend together and they don't look, it doesn't like it reads completely different from far away. I mean, you think about the blade face being kind of a big place to display something, but like you have to be very particular about what you do because any type of small something on there isn't really going to read when you're out on the water. And it's more
mhm,
like you don't want to paint your oar just all royal blue or all or as most like scholars, most of their blades are white. Like I don't. I
mhm.
mean, I haven't taken the time to paint mine. Mine are Mine are white and blue with like a blue like hash line, but it's from the person that I got them from, so they're probably like club blades. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard because you wanna be able to pick out your crew out there on the water. I know Genesee Waterways does like a neon green, and that's kinda it reads like as a high vis color,
Mhm.
it reads pretty well. But yeah, you can be at a regatta and see red and black and just be like, "I don't know what team that is." Like, that could be 1,000
Yeah.
different teams. Or like navy blue versus like a royal blue versus like a highlighter blue, like yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And I think that's like one of the big choices as a club, like, what are your colors gonna be? And you could come up with this really beautiful logo. Like I think of Flower City. They row out of Genesee Rowing Club and they have this beautiful logo with like it's I don't know if it's maroon and black or if it's red and black, but the flower is like a rose, but it's in black. And like when you're standing there and looking at the actual oar, you're like, oh, this is gorgeous. But then when you're out rowing, like the black and the red are like the maroon and the black kind of are close enough together that you can't really read it until like you're literally sitting underneath them and see the oars going by. But I mean, some
Yeah.
people have such beautiful depictions on there. But I think like the thing that works the best is like something high vis and relatively solid.
Yeah,
Or if
simple.
you have a stripe, well, like one big band kind
Mhm.
of reads kind of the best. So,
Yeah.
I don't know about replacing bow numbers with crew logos, but I think I think we could do a better job with somehow identifying crews out there. It's just really hard to tell who's who.
It
So,
is, yeah. And it's way too expensive or like tricky to like make sure people have like the right colored boats. Like that's
yeah.
a little too much, I think.
When I think of the right color boats, what's the team
CRI?
downstate? Not well, CRI does all red, right? So
Yeah.
all their boats are red. There's a high school team downstate, and I don't know if they're
Is it
like
pink?
they're pink. Yeah, they're like bright pink.
City Island. Yeah.
City Island. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I always like when I was like,
Yep.
oh, that's easy to see.
That's true. Yes. And they do have a lot of pink boats with lots of pink accents on them. They row out of our boathouse typically every
Oh.
summer. So they come up and leave. I think City Islands is part of the Bronx, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And so they come up to, the more rural parts of the state to hang out and stay at a nice hotel down the river from us. And they kind of camp out well, they don't camp, but
Yeah.
they use the boathouse land and everything to launch from. So
Oh.
yeah, so shout out to City Island. They're very nice when they come and visit, and they're very, very nice to share space with. So,
Yay.
yeah,
And they've got pretty boats. I
they've
love
got
that. Because
yes,
what
very pretty
you
boats.
have to think about like because that takes some really like if you think about your fleet.
Hmm.
I think it's something that you don't think about as a rowing club when you start your rowing club, and it's really dependent upon like whoever that first coach is will kind of
Hmm.
set the tone as far as what you have in your fleet and how your fleet looks and those types of things that somebody was like, "You know what? We're going pink." And like and the fact that it got to kind of like be kind of like their thing, you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, because I know that you can end up having so many different boats. Like if you're
Yeah.
not careful, if you don't pick a boat builder in the beginning and be very like devoted to them, kind of like the idea of CRI, like it's a
Hmm.
big deal to like kind of be like, we're only doing Hudsons and they're only going to be red and this is what we're doing. And I find the value in that because when you're a team and you have like all these different boats, it's such a nightmare, you know what I mean? Like, when I was at Mercy, we had Hudson,
Hmm.
Vespoli,
Yep.
King, maybe one other. I think now they have a Flippy too. So it's kind of like you've got all these
Yeah.
different boats. Um, we used to put everything in its own toolbox. So,
Hmm.
like, everything that was Hudson parts would be in the Hudson, toolbox, and everything that was in for Vespoli would be in the Vespoli toolbox, like, if you get into that type of thing, it becomes very difficult to kind of to create some continuity within your fleet, and, like, over time, like you have to make a decision of like as we get new boats, what are we going to do next?
Yeah,
Are we going to go a different direction? Are we going to get rid of all these other boats? Are we just going to work with like six different toolboxes?
I know.
One coach orders metric, another one orders
Yep.
standard, and then like next thing you know, you just like it's just a hodgepodge of like, and nothing fits anything else. Like kids are trying to take poppers from, one boat and put them in another, and like they don't fit. Like it's just, yeah, it can be such a nightmare.
Yeah.
So my hat's off to the crews out there that, make that decision and say, hey, this is what we're buying, this is how we're doing it, because it's very, very smart. It's very, very smart from a coach's sanity point. So,
It is, yeah. It is that it's a commitment, like you said, because it's hard to be like um a bargain shopper when you're like that, right? Because usually
mhm,
sometimes there'll be like a good deal that comes your way and you're
yeah.
like, oh, it's like a really nice deal for a Vespoli or something, but your boathouse has all like we have work Burn Hills is kind of moving more to like an all wind tech and they have some King. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's the same company.
Yeah.
Um, but Chen has a real mix. We have Resolute, we've got some Wintech, we've got some, I think Vespoli's. I don't know. It's a big mix. Um, and then outside we've got like a whole rack of old Dorigos too.
Oh, there we go.
Dorigos, those yellow, they're still out there. I don't know what's going to happen to those because I don't think they ever get used and they're just sitting there unrigged and
Yeah.
derigged. So.
I wish there was a way to like find a home for these wayward boats. Like,
Mhm,
like it because like eventually they lose their parts. You don't have the
mhm,
riggers, you don't have the seats, the shoes are crud. Like, I mean, like eventually they start to break down because they're not being taken care of. But I mean, an old boat can last. I mean, I have a boat from 81 and it still works. I mean, like I said, I don't know if I can row it up at speed. I'm not brave
mhm,
enough quite yet. And the adjustments, like the parts that I was gonna order, I don't know if I mentioned that in another podcast. I was gonna order some parts for it. It just won't work because they thought like Pioneer when I called them thought that there was like a support, like one of those I can't think of the word of it. They thought
rib.
it was yeah, they thought there was a rib
Okay.
um in the bow of the
Mhm.
structure of the boat, but there isn't. So, I can't put a backstay on. I can't get a new pin. I mean, I could get a new pin and hope that I don't bend it or break or snap the parts off. So, I'm like, I might just have to kinda work with what I have. And the reason the oarlock fell off in the first place is because I, like, was rowing in the weeds. So
Oh.
so maybe I just need to, like, launch from a normal place and not row in the weeds, and it'll be just fine. So,
Mhm.
but this summer, I will practice taking it up to speed and see if it doesn't just, like, fly apart. Because, I mean, she's vintage, she's
Mhm.
weathered, she goes,
Yeah.
well, since she's talking, I think she's more of like, a paddle around kinda gal rather than, like, trying to do some fall head races in it. I just don't think that that would be a good idea. So then in my head, I'm like, "Should I be looking for another boat?"
Mhm.
Which, like, what am I gonna what I only have room for the one single in the garage right now,
Mhm.
yeah, unless I found a home for her
Yep.
like, at, like, a boathouse, and then I could have the racing single at home. I don't know. I need to not I don't need any more rowing equipment. I don't need to put that out there to the rowing gods to send me a newer boat that I could race. But, yeah, I think that's a horrible idea. I don't need another boat. Number 7 on here is make being a rower more fun.
Well, I think we talked I mean, again, well, by the time this one comes out, people would have heard Matt's, but like, the bar league, that was a good idea.
I think that's
Yeah.
a fantastic idea. I would love to get
Yeah.
that going, like, next year in Rochester. Like, cause I mean, sometimes just, like, all you have is 1 day out of the week that you could just kinda make it work during the
Mhm.
summer, and, like, the fact that it would be, like, you go out, you do, like, kind of, like, pick 'em races,
Mhm.
come back, have some dinner,
Mhm.
even be able to, like, bring the kids to kinda, like,
Yeah.
run around the dock and hang out and stuff, or put your little 10 by 10 up and, have your family kind of sitting and waiting underneath there. Like, I think that's a great idea.
What about like a live band? Like get a live like if you know people. We did that actually. This was when we were about to get married because we dated, as fellow coaches, and so we knew and Chris was also a teacher at the school. So we knew some of the kids that were on the team had their own band. And so
Yeah.
couldn't invite everybody to our wedding, but we did have like a little barbecue at the boathouse. And we had them play a little bit for, the crowd. And then people actually went swimming in the dock, the dock into the Mohawk River. I don't know. They did it. It wasn't we didn't think that was the plan, but it was a hot day. But yeah, that was fun. It was like a little like, barbecue festival.
Mhm.
The only time we ever tend to do something like that, we definitely do that with like anniversaries. We've had a couple anniversaries for the team and we'll have like speakers, we'll have boat dedication and then like food. But yeah, I think make it like a party. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
Like
fun.
party atmosphere, just like
Yeah.
good times and like,
Mhm.
get out there and do a little sprint, like, run the engine a little bit and then be able to kind of just have a good time with people. Like, I think that that would just be amazing and like kind of lower the barrier again for
Mhm.
getting involved with rowing again. Cause I think people tend to think it's like all or nothing. You got to be practicing X amount of days a week. And it's just, if it could just be just a little bit simpler, just a little bit more like casual. And I
Mhm.
get it. Like some people are like, well, you can't be super casual about it because there's safety, there's a certain level of skill you have to have. And but I think that if you're somebody who rode in college and you came out and you're coming out once a week for the summer, I think that that would be appropriate. Like I think
Mhm.
um, I don't think it's appropriate for everyone. I mean, someone who's brand new wouldn't necessarily, there has to be an entry point where you actually learn the skills, understand the terms, know how to be safe and all that type of stuff. But I think for people who know rowing,
Mhm.
it's a great way to kind of have some fun with it because I think we do take ourselves way more seriously than like, I would think, like, the average like, a kayaking kind of experience, like, someone who hasn't kayaked before, you can throw them in a kayak, and they can do it, and they might not be skilled at it or know all the rules, but, like, it's a lot more socially acceptable
Yeah.
to, like, not have been an experienced kayaker and just kinda jump in the kayak and, like, make it happen, whereas with
Mhm.
rowing, we're like, "Wait a second. You don't know." Like, we just take
Yeah.
ourselves really seriously, and I get it that there's our
Mhm.
super serious points, like the fact that someone could put their foot through the boat if they don't
Mhm.
know where they're stepping, but at the same time,
Mhm.
that like, hyper seriousness, like, tends to keep people
Mhm.
away, so, yeah,
Have
I
you
love
have you you seen anything with this like tug of war? I don't know a lot about it, but I've seen that there's this thing. I don't know what race or what event they do it at, but they like tie two boats together and then they like try see who can row in tug of war to
tug of
pull the other
war.
one across.
Oh, that's so cool. A tug of war event at a regatta.
Mhm. So it maybe, I have to say I haven't done any investigation. I think I scrolled one day and saw it, so it could have been complete AI generated.
Yeah.
But I thought, wow, that's interesting. I mean, hopefully it's like old boats because it sounds like it would
Yeah,
not be a
probably
good
like I
idea for a good boat.
I'm trying to think of like you'd have to tie the sterns together, right? And so
Mhm.
I don't know how strong a stern tag would be to tie a rope around. And then
It
what
almost seems like what you would do when you want to destroy old boats. Like it doesn't seem like it would end well if you have like nice equipment, you know?
like that might be good for those old Dorigos.
Yeah, that's a
And then
good point.
I was
Every
thinking, I was like, oh well, you could tie it around the cox. And I'm like, no, that wouldn't work. Pull the coxswain right out of the boat. So I don't know what you would actually tie it to that would be safe to tie it to.
I know. I'm thinking like, yeah, yeah, huh. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could tie it to the riggers,
That was the next
but
thought.
then
And that's like, well,
that's
if you tie it
definitely gonna pull the
to
riggers. Yeah.
yeah, if you tied it to like the stern person's rigger, like as they pull, wouldn't it kinda like you guys would like I don't know, you guys would kinda turn each other
Yeah.
around, right?
You'd need to tie it like on two riggers, I think. And then,
You oh,
yeah,
like tie it to this
like have
like
like
6 and like, no, like, 8
like
and
seven
7, so
and eight.
stroke and
Yeah.
7, yeah.
Well, let's do a little, I'm gonna do a little looking up and see if this is an actual thing. And then we could give people some tips if they want to throw a party, have a live band, and then do a little tug of war
Tug of
party.
war, that would be a really cool yeah. Maybe if you had a
So that would be
bars, 2 bars,
that would be
a
fun.
bar you can
Yeah,
tap.
actually that I think that would be really great is if you like I've been trying to think about how because I work at a engineering school and there's a rowing team.
Mhm.
I was thinking like if there's a way to get them to somehow commission the rowers when they like we have this whole thing like an away term where students have to do something like a project or they go on an internship or something. I was thinking like is there a way to get them to first of all design in CAD because they're engineers
Mhm.
like or just like put together some plans for barges because
Yeah.
when I was learning how to row at Niskayuna
Mhm.
we had the barge and it wasn't I know I've seen the barges where they like put two eights together and they kind of like build that platform in between
Yeah.
but this one was just a flat bottom boat and
Mhm.
then it had spare parts of riggers they were all sweep like four on one side four on the other and then like a long platform in the middle where the coach could walk up and down
Mhm.
and then on the um yeah it must have been in the bow they had like this huge, I don't know, I'm losing the word first, like to steer it.
Yeah, like
It's
a rudder.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah, rudder. Yep. So, yeah, and it was great. It was a great learning tool. Plus, we would just have fun with it. I mean, we would,
Mhm.
like for the summer program, it would be like, yeah, some days you'd want to be in an eight and be able to row like a little bit more hard. But then other days you're like, I want to be the barge. So you're just like, let's go run into this and let's go run into shore. And like it was
Oh.
indestructible, which is not something that you're typically doing when you're rowing. You're not
Mhm.
trying to ram into stuff. Not that we were supposed to be ramming into stuff, but it was just a little more like fun to be like all over the place in that thing
Yeah.
because it was just so wide. And then there's this ice cream place that's not really close from especially that boathouse. It's closer to where we are and at our boathouse, but it's still probably about 3 miles, maybe a little bit more upriver.
Yeah.
Um, and one day in the summer, we would just be like, okay, let's just get a bunch of us, get in the boats and go up to Jumpin' Jacks. And like, there would be people who would be like diehards. I want to do the barge, but it took forever because that thing did not move. I mean, it was like slugging along. But anyways, long tangent, but I think barges are a great thing. I wish it was a little bit easier to like, even if you got to have manpower, woman power to build it,
Mhm.
but and materials, but if it was like something that was already like planned out, like exactly what you need, like here's what you need in terms of materials, here are the plans. Now you just got to go build it. That would be
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah. Very, very cool. I
And
think
not scary. Like you get in
yeah.
there and it's stable, and it's not as scary as being in
And
the
that's
sea.
fun for people who are kind of have that fear of water or just like kind of the fear of unknown. We've talked about that
Yeah.
before that like when you learn as a kid, you just don't care. You're just not thinking about what's going on in
Mhm.
the water. Like but for, when you're a grown up, you're like, what is going on? Like I need to be very versed in what the conditions are. But the other thought I had, if you're gonna have your students do some type of engineering thing,
Mhm.
sliding rigger.
A sliding rigger.
Sliding
Okay.
rigger. So, I don't know the whole story. I've interacted with someone on Instagram who's
Mhm.
I think his tag is "Stop the ban on the sliding rigger." I think that's like the name of his um like
Oh.
of his Instagram, and
Mhm.
I guess the sliding rigger. And I'm probably getting the dates wrong, so I apologize. Late 70s, early 80s. The sliding rigger was like a thing, and it actually like, when you think of sliders, That's
Mhm.
actually more like a sliding rigger than actually what's happening in the boat, and, like, he sent me a bunch of information on it. So, like, kind of like, if you think especially if you think of, like, the RP3, the way that the machine moves towards you
Mhm.
and the seat is stationary, like, that's sliding rigger. So, the seat I know, totally blowing our minds right now. The seat, because like, it took me a minute as I was reading, like, the details. I was like, "How does this work?" But the seat doesn't move,
Okay.
the rigger moves. So if you've seen some of these, like, sit on top
Yes. Yep.
rowing things,
Mhm.
it's that idea where the seat's
Okay.
stationary and the rigger's moving to you. Now, it was banned
Okay.
because, the person there was, like, a guy who wrote it very fast. I think in a standard boat, he couldn't beat people, but he could beat people in the sliding rigger boat, and so that's why they were kinda like, "No, we're not doing this." So there's, like, a ban on it, like, in international competition, you can't row a boat with a sliding rigger. Because of that, there are no sliding rigger boats, like, because I asked this guy, I was like, "Hey, do you have access to one? I'd love to, see some," because there's, like, old video. If you look up sliding rigger, you can find old video, like, on YouTube. There's no current boats. So, if you wanted to get your students to design some sliding riggers for those Dorigos that are sitting there, that would be cool. I'd be all in on that
Hmm.
if they could figure out how to, because like, but basically it's like the sit on top idea,
Mhm.
and the rigger and the oars are moving towards you, but you're not moving. And so
Okay.
like, actual rowing's like a combination of both,
Mhm.
because the seat, like, it's not like the seat's moving, but I always think of it as the boat's moving under, like, you're not moving your seat. Like, if you're doing it right, you're not really moving your seat. The boat's moving underneath you.
Right.
But this, the seat is completely stationary and the rigger is coming to you.
Hmm.
And supposedly a sliding rigger, when done properly, is infinitely faster than traditional rowing.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so that would be something to, if you had a rower who was so inclined to wanna
Mhm.
do something with those old Dorigos, I don't know, I mean, like, I don't know how you create a sliding rigger. I've seen some, like, diagrams and stuff from the stuff that the guy had sent me, so it's interesting stuff, though.
Mhm. Yeah.
And in my mind, I went to the idea of, injury, because
Oh, yeah.
most people get injured on the stationary erg, which is the
Mhm.
moving seat.
Mhm.
People get injured on the water with the moving seat.
Mhm.
We always say when you put somebody on sliders or on a dynamic erg, they're at less risk of injuring themselves. Like, I don't know if the injury profile, because of the way the forces are, would be less than that of a standard regular boat. So theoretically, like, could we avoid injury if we were using sliding rigger versus standards rigging setup? I don't know. Like that was a question I asked him and he's like, I don't know. And so but just like that information's not out there. So if there was an actual real sliding rigger to try,
Mhm.
it'd be awesome. So
Yeah. Cool.
yeah. Yeah. So if someone's looking for a project, tell them to hit me up and we'll we'll get some sliding rigger boats made.
Okay. Yeah. What else? What other are on the list, or is that it?
It was race more and reward it. So
Oh,
I'm not sure.
race more and reward it, like
Yeah, I
with
don't.
prizes.
Yes, we shouldn't fight our natural racing instincts. We should embrace and reward them. If we set up competitive situations in which athletes, especially youth athletes, don't always win or lose, but experience intermittent reinforcement that rewards racing, they'll have more fun.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Okay.
interesting way to look at it. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, so I guess the idea of, we spend a lot of time practicing, like, and like we don't there isn't as much scrimmaging that happens, at least I mean, you guys do a bunch of scrimmaging because you have a lot of close boat houses.
We do. Yeah. So I'm wondering if that is kind of like the whole make it more fun and race more. We did start doing a few years ago our hat races, and that definitely made our team closer. It made it more fun, and it made it more friendly with the other teams. Like,
Yeah.
used to be that we would see these teams, especially Aqueduct, who's just down the river from us. We'd just see them out there. They were fellow rowers, but like we didn't know them. We didn't have any chance to interact with them. Even at a race, like sometimes the races we would attend would be on our river. So like we would row, or they would row up to the start. So it's not like you're hanging out with each other at the race. But when we started doing the hat races, we really got to know each other and it's been fun. It's kind of neat to, like you said, just like kind of hang out, get to know people and enjoy the sport. So that kind of combines two of them, having fun because we would have, usually pizza afterwards and hang out um and then we were racing too. And the racing was like pretty low key. It was like,
Yeah.
like what you do. You do like just decide like, okay, this is the start and this is the finish. And maybe it's about 1,000 meters, maybe it's a little less, who knows? Or we would do it by minutes or whatever, and whoever got further in a few minutes if we didn't have like good landmarks. Um, and then there was times I remember when they would be like, okay, we're gonna go in this direction. We're gonna turn around. We're gonna go in this direction. And then like, anybody want to do more? All right, you guys, let's go this way. The rest of you guys, we'll meet you back when we're done. It's
Yep.
like very, very low key, but fun. Yeah.
That's really, really cool. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, I think that's the fun part a lot of times that we miss out on because we're too busy thinking about competing and getting ready for the big race that we're not
Right.
thinking about like all the just like the little fun to have.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good idea. Um, it says skull in the fall, erg in the winter, row in the spring. I like that.
Hmm.
So I think they're talking about like sculling in the idea that like when you're in the fall that it's primarily sculling and doing those long races in sculling boats and then erging and then, sweeping in the spring, which is a good idea because I mean, at least for us, the water's warmer
Hmm.
in the fall,
That's
and
true.
it really lends itself to kids learning to be in smaller boats or even adults. I mean, just it just lends itself for everybody for being in smaller boats.
Yeah.
And I think the training for those longer races really give you plenty of time to learn how to get your boat up to speed. The speeds aren't as extreme. I mean, you might race a head race at a 30 or 32 if you're, one of these competitive teams, but most people, I mean, the most humans, I mean, you're going to be somewhere in the 26 to 28 range and getting like 10,000 meters in at that type of level while you're sculling. I mean, that's a lot of learning
Mhm.
that you can pack into it. So I like that idea.
Yeah.
Um, let me see what else is it saying in here. I don't know, but I think that's I mean, it's just such a good idea to kinda
Yeah.
and then for you think about it from, like, a body standpoint to be sculling, to be more symmetrical,
Hmm.
when you're doing the longer races, having more symmetry, and then saving that, like, very one-sided rowing for springtime, for those
Yeah.
shorter races for that higher intensity. I think that's just good ideas.
What were the first two again? Because I think we went through those quickly
Let me
thinking we
look
were going
at
to talk about them, but I forgot about them all already.
the first one was let everyone else in on the secret of our great sport. And so that means
Yeah.
like trying to
So how
um
about we get rid of the paywalls for the live streams? US rowing.
Kate's on she's on a rampage about those live streams.
I saw a post on the Masters rowing Facebook group that was getting on their own little rant about the Henley Women's Regatta has a paywall for their live stream too.
Oh.
So yeah. But I do think that kind of goes along with it, right? Like we need to make it so that people can watch it and enjoy it, especially if they know somebody who's doing it. So like making that accessible, I think is really, really important. And And then just, yeah, I think we could all do a better job of inviting people. One of
Mhm.
the things that I definitely had thought about, and I hope we can kind of make a reality, um, so recruiting wise, we think like we've tried a lot of things and a lot of things have worked. Like we do during Regents Week in January, we'll bring ergs to the middle schools who don't have that time off, but the high schoolers do, and like usually erg in the cafeteria and just kind of like give kids a chance to like learn about that. We do like a health and science night, or health and STEAM night, and we bring our ergs there and an info table there. But I think would be really good is if we invite teachers, especially like gym teachers,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
school counselors, middle school teachers to the boathouse and have them learn about it, give them a tour, and like maybe even get a chance to sit in a boat or, you know, maybe erg or something like that. Just because sometimes they're the ones having conversations with kids that,
Right.
especially at a school like Shen is a huge school and they're really into their sports. And there's a lot of kids who want to play sports that don't make teams. It's just really hard to make the school team at a big school.
Yeah.
So, whatever sport it is, but we talked about this before. Like pretty much we as rowers, we've been on teams with former swimmers, former volleyball players, former basketball players,
Yeah.
former runners, like all different kinds of athletes, because it does take that athlete mentality, but it can easily transfer. All you have to learn is the rowing stroke, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't have to know, like I can't play soccer to save my life.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Those
it's
sports, I
that's
mean, I've done them, but yeah, they weren't my jam. Like I'm a runner and a rower for a reason.
yeah.
It's just like, yeah, yeah, the skill
So
beyond the skill of the rowing stroke or the running form, like it's just yeah, yeah.
yeah. And I think with Dave, we were talking about this too, like like
Dave was
Ellis
talking about
Island.
the extreme of it. Like he was like, send us you're poor, you're
You're
hungry,
tired,
you're
you're weak.
tired,
Yeah.
you're weary.
Um, but just in terms of like giving student and make sure they know that it's an option. I think we really need to do a better job of that. And that's one of the things I think I secretly always liked about rowing is that we have this kind of like secret clubhouse, right? Like
Mhm.
nobody else is coming to the boathouse
Yeah.
unless you're there to row or you're a parent or a brother or sister, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa of a rower, especially where ours is located. There's nothing else down there. There's a marina, but it's even past the marina. So, but like, maybe we need to invite a few more people to our clubhouse, even just to check it out. Because I think sometimes just that alone, to know that that's like a space that if you join that club, that's like your space, and you get to hang out with your friends and in your little clubhouse. So,
And they say that these third spaces, like with like family being
yeah.
space one, work being space two, and then third space being like used to be like religion or some type of club or whatever. Like sports are really taking up that space, like as far as like run clubs and pickleball and those types of things, where I think rowing fits really well into that idea that it's a community, it's a skill, it's exercise, it's outdoors, it's like all these different things kind of rolled into one. So, and recruitment is always tough, like we went to a school back when I was at Genesee Waterways and we were doing and I was directing over there. We went over to a school that's literally walking distance from our boathouse. Walking distance, doesn't have a rowing team. So we went over there and I think we spent 2 days and it really wasn't supposed to be this, but for 2 days, we taught gym class.
Mhm.
So every single period, there'd be kids who come in, we had an oar with us. We had a bunch of rowing machines. I would start out talking about, I'd hold the oar up and they'd see how tall it is. And I'm like, this is just one oar out of a boat for 8 people, which is, as long as what is it, 20 yards on a football field, that kind of thing, trying to give them the idea of like the vastness of what we do. And then we got everybody on the erg. We taught them how, the basic rowing stroke and then at the end of the gym class we did relays. And so we
Mhm.
were doing this like it turned out like every single period. of the day. Like we had no break. Like I'm like, how did this happen that I'm like teaching your class all day long? But we did for 2 days in a row. And the funny thing was, is like some kids had study halls and they skipped study halls so they could come back and do it more.
Oh,
It was just like it was just wild, like, they hadn't been
yeah,
exposed to the sport, they hadn't been exposed like, they'd seen the rowing machine in the gym, but, like, they didn't really know how to use it, and now, I mean, at the very least, I think, like, at least for like, we saw every because we were there 2 days, so we covered because every kid has gym some day within the schedule over those 2 days, and so we
mhm,
saw every kid in that school, so I think to myself, like, we didn't start a rowing program, but at least I taught all those kids how to use the rowing machine. So when they get
yeah,
older and they go to a gym, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember this chick came to gym class and showed us how to how to get on the rowing machine." And you just you're planting that seed. That seed might not grow for 10 or 20 years, but somebody
yeah,
might say, "Oh yeah, I remember learning about that in gym."
yeah,
And that's really cool, and, like, the gym teachers, by the end of the day, they were helping teaching it because 'cause they'd heard us run through the spiel so many times, and, I think that it's just a matter of getting the word out there about what we do, and the idea that you don't have to start this when you're 3 years old. You can't, you're too small.
yeah,
We're not
yeah,
we're not Tiger Woodsing it, like, with, like, little tiny kids trying to teach them how to row, even though there are little have you seen those little rowing shells? Like,
yeah.
oh, they come up
They're
on really 2K. Like,
yeah,
they're, like, little shrunk down, like,
yeah,
you have your toddler in it, but in general, it's not a sport that you have to be exposed to super early in order to be great at, and a lot of I mean, we've talked about it before that a lot of the Olympians, when you talk to them, they picked up rowing in college,
yeah,
or, they may have even picked up rowing, like, after it might have been one of these things where they were involved at a very high level with a different sport and somehow got exposed to rowing, and the next thing you know, they're on the national team. So it's like
yeah,
it's one of these things that you don't necessarily need to do for your whole lifetime in order to be extremely great at it. So I think that's one of the advantages of our sport. I think that's another hidden secret of our sport too, and the fact that we're an endurance sport. So people
yeah,
who love doing endurance things like cycling, triathlons, long distance running, cross country skiing, like any type of like endurance sport where you like to be out there for a really long time, rowing is a perfect fit for you. You just
yeah,
learn the stroke and like you already have like all of that physiology behind you too. So
mhm,
I think that's a secret too that we don't kind of pull more athletes in from different sports regularly. I mean, it happens in I think like you said, like in high school, you end up rowing with a bunch of people who've done a bunch of other things too. So, but
yeah,
recruitment's tough, especially at the kid at like the high school age, trying to so right you have to get the right mix
mhm,
of like timing, their
mhm,
friends have to be involved, it has to make sense
yeah,
financially too, like, I mean, because there could be all this want to do it, and then, like, oh, yeah, it's like, it's $800 in the fall, another 500 during the spring, or another 500 for winter
yeah,
training, and then it's gonna be another 900 spring because we travel, and we're gonna be staying
yeah,
at hotels every weekend, like, it can be that could end up being the barrier that, the kid has all the desire, but there isn't, there may not be a scholarship fund on your particular team or, just might not work financially for and time-wise for the parents too. I mean, it's a lot of dropping off
yeah,
and picking up. I mean, you were talking about you did mornings, right? Like there were they did mornings this season. So, I mean,
yeah.
that's a huge commitment.
Yeah, and this summer, so Hannah did decide to do the more competitive program this summer. So so yeah, so she's gonna have 2 a days, 3 days a week. So yeah, so I'm gonna have I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna work from I work from home 1 day a week. I think I'm gonna work from home 2 days a week, and then Chris is home 2 days a week. That's just how his schedule is with the state police. So we'll have like 1 day in the middle, and that day and on Wednesday they happen to only have one practice. So that we could probably manage fine. But yeah, it's when we were deciding and she was deciding, that was definitely factored in because she's not driving yet. And I don't think there's not as many people from around here that are on, and on that schedule, especially for the afternoons. So So yeah, but we're gonna make it work, and I think it's gonna be a good experience. Like
Mhm.
they have optional morning practices this week.
Mhm.
She went yesterday, but she has like regents today and tomorrow in the morning, so she won't go for those 2 days. And I think it's supposed to be better at the end of the week. It's not supposed to
Yeah,
be
it's
so
supposed to
hot.
be cooler. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely more like rowing weather than what we've got right now, which is, I guess,
Yeah.
Florida rowing weather.
Florida throwing it there. Yeah. The Masters, I think, canceled yesterday because it was too hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the air is just so thick out there. So, I mean, it's as far as safety is, always
Yeah.
comes first and making sure that people aren't going to get overheated. And,
Yep.
I was talking to well, I did class yesterday, and the boathouse doesn't have any air conditioning or anything, but the cinder blocks kind of make it feel very cool in there. So we did go ahead and have class, but we were talking about cooling options that like
Mhm.
one girl, she's pregnant and she's about 7 months along, and she went rowing on, I think it was either Saturday or Sunday, and she was just like, it was so hot, I didn't know what to do, and I was like, and then we were talking about cooling options as far as like wearing one of those little fans or the were those, like, little not the neck warmers, but the opposite of the neck coolers, I
Mhm.
guess, where you can, like, you wet them and you freeze them, and then you can put them on, and that kinda keeps you cool.
Mhm.
Um, and then somebody was saying, like, ice packs and, like, having, just, of course, your cold water and all that type of stuff, but, yeah, we just don't think about this kind of, thing happening because it just doesn't. Like you said, this is the first podcast you haven't been wearing a sweatshirt. So so this just, it
Mhm.
happens. But yeah, yeah. What do you have going on for your rowing?
Mm.
That's
So yeah, so I think our summer session will start I think it's July 1st. So I'm gonna join back, and so it'll be 2 days a week at night and then Saturday mornings typically.
Ooh.
Sometimes it shifts depending on what is going on that weekend. And our team, the Masters, definitely tend to do like if there's a holiday, they tend to row on the holiday. They'll just
Mhm.
change the hours. So like if
Yeah.
it's the 4th of July, instead of rowing, and actually I think 4th of July is a Friday, so they wouldn't have practice normally. But if it was on a Monday, instead of rowing at like 6 o'clock, we would move it to like earlier in the day, typically. Just because, if you can, there's especially 4th of July, you don't want to be out there at like 6 o'clock
Oh,
on a
yeah.
nice day.
Oh, yeah.
There's way too much boat traffic.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah,
I actually went
warm boat traffic. Yeah.
yeah, I went down on Saturday just because so our family has a single. My father-in-law owns it now, but originally it was Chris's single. And so we use it. But Hannah's never used that boat, and it's up, in the rafters, like it's on this like pulley system.
Yeah.
And she's rode singles before, but I've wanted her to like know how to get that boat down, just become familiar with it. And so I brought her down and I showed her, and I had her carry it down.
Mhm.
Reluctantly, she did because the only way I do it is on my head. Like that's how I carry a single. I put
Yeah.
it on my head, and then usually like just like use the riggers to like balance.
Yeah.
Um, but she said, "Oh, this hurts. It's uncomfortable." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but sometimes you could just find the right spot or maybe
Yeah.
wear like a hat and it's not quite so bad." Um, and then we just ended up carrying it up together. But, I think is eventually, if you're going to row a single, you got to learn how to carry a boat by yourself, especially at a race.
Mhm.
So I wanted her to at least get familiar with how to do it. And so we did that. She went out, she did a couple laps just in front of our docks, just, within eyesight, because, if something happened, she was not going to be too far away. And then the masters were out and they came in and we were just chatting a little bit. I went out for one lap and I was like, okay, it's hot.
Um,
Like, yeah, it's getting hot. Let's pack up here. But it was fun, it's just nice to kind of get her out there in the boat. And but yeah, we were talking about it and it was like I think the practice they moved it for some reason later. So they were practicing 9 to 11. So it was starting to get pretty warm towards the end. But
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'll get in the boat this, and like I've been getting in the boat with someone in the double, so I'm getting quite a bit of just like doubles practice, but like the other day when I rode the single, as I was out there, I was like, wow, I need to practice this more. Like, cause there's the whole thing about like the boat and you
Mhm.
and there's that balance between like, am I trying to control what's happening or are we working on this together? You know what I mean? Like when you kind of fight the boat and you're trying to do more than the boat wants to do, that's where I really feel like that off balanceness and just kind of like that, like when I'm easy with the boat, like I feel like it's very easy to do, but like when I try to start pushing it and like I think we're not friends like that quite yet. So, and I haven't, I mean, I've never raced the single. So, I mean, I've rode in
Oh,
the single, but I've never raced it. So,
okay.
I really want to, because I've never had my own.
Mhm.
So it's always kind of like on race day to be borrowing a boat and like take your number, get in line kind of thing. And I just never gone through the headache of trying to figure out whose boat I'm gonna borrow and that kind of thing. But I'm
Mhm.
like I said, like in order to race this boat, we wouldn't go very fast and I probably would need a lot, like, I would need weekly practice through the
Yeah.
fall to feel comfortable doing it. But,
Mhm.
um, but I think it's such a great skill, like, sculling
Mhm.
is such a great skill, and the just the basic ability, like, if you had to get out there in the single, you could. Like, I
Yeah.
think that that's just really, really important. Um, and boat feel too, I always feel like there's so much boat feel in the
Mhm.
single, and you just really appreciate what you're like, in a bigger boat, you really appreciate what you're trying to do because you can feel all of it happening when it's just you and just the oars, and can't bring your hands in too high, you gotta be very even, like, you can't rush up to that catch, can't go for that extra, like, jump and
Mhm.
run kinda stuff, like, all of that then becomes very, very apparent that you can't do, so, um
Yeah.
I'm hoping I get out in the single
Mhm.
more, but of course it's in my garage, so that means it has to go on top of the car.
Yeah.
Right now the riggers are off because at one point I had the riggers on because I was working on it, but like
Mhm.
because I rode it the other day, I took the riggers off and it's hanging up. So it's ready to get back on the car to go be rode again. Um,
Mhm.
and it wasn't that tough. I mean, it rigged up real quick.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I'll have to put some time into it, and I don't know, she might end up having to go to a boathouse if I'm gonna try to go regularly, because like, just, like, the process of rigging and de-rigging.
Yeah.
It's
You've done that.
yeah, that's true. We did that at UB every practice, we
Yeah.
re-rigged and de-rigged one side of the boat, right? So that's not new, right? So, it shouldn't keep me from getting out there, but, um,
Well,
yeah. But I've
you've been
less
there,
time.
done that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
been there, done that, and I have a lot less time.
That's
Time
true.
is of the essence.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
but we'll have to get more guests going on the
Yep.
podcast. We have a couple of I guess by the time that this one comes out, we would have had our 2 guests
2. Yep.
already happened.
Mhm.
So we'll try to plan out some other rowing
Mhm.
friends to hook up with, and,
Yeah.
we need to start putting some thoughts together on when we're gonna see each other rowing-wise in the fall.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
mentioned the Mohawk Classic, right?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
And, like, so you'll have to get me the dates on that,
Okay. Yep.
and Matt had mentioned Head of the Ohio.
Mhm.
And so we need to see if all of these, and then we have Lift Bridge here in Rochester, and that's at the end of September. I think some of these dates are gonna overlap, and then ahead of the Genesee too.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get some points where we'll actually be able to touch base rowing wise, and we'll do a live podcast from there. So
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, finally.
it'll be good stuff.
Yeah. All right. Sounds cool. Yeah, we should probably wrap up. But this was fun. Another
Yes,
good
definitely.
one.
I know, I
Yeah, leave
know.
us if you're loving the podcast, please leave us a review. I don't think we got any new ones since our last plea, so we would love it if you're listening to leave a review.
Leave a review, a like and comment, share with a
Yeah.
friend,
Yeah,
post it
share
on
rowing
your
with a friend.
yep. You share it with your
Yeah.
rowing friends.
Mhm.
Post it on your social. Tag us. I guess people could
Mhm.
tag us, right? Right? When you're
Sure.
right?
Yeah, we're on Instagram. Yeah, so follow us on Instagram, tag us. Yep.
Very cool. All
All
right.
right. Have a good one, Adrian. Stay cool.
Yes, you too.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.